welcome back. Today we're gonna have a look at how to play Fly Me to the Moon, arranged for just one guitar. This is standard tuning, tabs in the description. Let's go.
How to play Fly Me to the Moon.
Okay, first let's have a look at the structure. We have an 8-chord pattern that is pretty constant, and then we have two 4-chord patterns that have a lot of variations in there. Altogether these are 16 bars that repeat 4 times. Verse 1, verse 2, solo, verse 3, and a little outro at the end. Now there are a lot of chords in here, so this video is also going to be a little clinic on chords. So if you think you already know enough about chords or you get bored along the way, just skip to this timestamp. Okay, the chords of the 8-chord pattern are A minor 7, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F7, B minor 7 flat 5, E minor 7 flat 5, and A minor 7 again. Now let's have a look at some of those individually. The third one we have the G7, which we play in this bar version instead of the standard, which is here, but this F up here just does not fit into that song there, so we take this version. The fifth one is the F7, but you could also play an F major 7 up here. Both work, like let me see what spring is like, let me see what spring is like. The one up here is a little more dreamy, a little more celestial. This one is more standard, works as well. Both work. I play them both. This one in verse 1 and the solo, this one in verse 2 and 4. Now a quick side note to these major 7 chords. I found that on guitar, or on all guitars that I have played, they only sound good in the version that you play from the A string downwards. And this pattern moved up the best in this region, sweet spot here between 5 and 8. If you try to play such a major 7 from the E string, first of all you have a very weird finger position, and then it sounds very muddled. It's just too low in comparison to. So that's somewhat a problem of guitar, that this F major 7, G major 7, you're kind of forced to do them up here. Luckily this F major 7 here sounds beautiful. Okay, then we have chords 6 and 7, which have these weird names, a minor 7 flat 5, but it sounds worse than it is. Let's have a look at the chord number 7 first, which is the E minor 7 flat 5. So it's pretty easy to build. So we take an E minor, like here. E minor 7 means we raise the pinky, so we get the 7 here. And flat 5 just means we diminish the 5th half a step down, so the 5th is here, like your power chord. And 1 down. You get the tritone here, so move it down, and you have your chord. But this finger position is strange, so let's switch the ring and the middle, and then you have your normal position for the E minor 7 flat 5. And you can also play this up here on D string 2 3 3 3. Same one. I just prefer that one because you can slide into it. Okay, the one before that was the B minor 7 flat 5. So if we take the same position down to the B, we would have that. The same thing, gets kind of muddled the lower you go. So this time we're gonna move the F from here up here, and we get this. Then we have 2 D's in there, and altogether it sounds much more open. So this time we want the F up here. Not like the G7 a while ago, if you remember that.
Not the standard version here, because this F in the upper register does not really fit.
But that was a different time, things changed, now we want the F up here. to get this B minor 7 flat 5 version, which is actually a D minor with a B in the bass. And the last one is the A minor 7 again, which is the same as the first one was, so that means we won't repeat that pattern but go into a new pattern with more chords. What were these people thinking? So many chords. That was back in the days before technology found out that you just need 4 chords and some dynamic changes to write a song. But back then, they did not know. They just didn't know. So coming out of this 8 chord pattern, we have the A minor 7, and we will go to the D minor 7, which starts the 4 chord pattern. But instead of just going there, we will put in a transition chord here by putting our pinky on the 4th fret of the G string to have a much smoother, more natural transition here. Okay, and then the 4 chord pattern always starts with a D minor 7, then most of the time a G7, and the third one is always different. It can be another G, it can be a C major, it can be this F7 diminished, you name it. And the fourth one is most likely to be an A minor 7, but it can also be an A major 7. Okay, let's look at the 4 chord pattern for verse 1 in particular. We start with the D minor 7, then we don't go to the G7 but to the G9. That means we add an A on the G string here. So we have 3-2, 3-2. Spicy. Then for the third chord we do another G version, which is 3-2-0-4-3. And I do not know what you call this chord. It's you have 2 B's in it and 2 D's in it, so you double the triad, which makes it, I don't know, let's call it a
Double triad superchord.
or something like that. And after that we get back into A minor 7, then transition with the A minor 9, and the second round of the 4 chords in verse 1 start again with the D minor 7, then we go to G7, and then we have maybe kiss me, kiss me. He sings an E here, but we're gonna put a really spicy chord underneath here, the F diminished 7. 2-0-1-0-1. And this chord is as unstable as it can get. We have 2 B's in here, and the B to the F is the tritone, which really wants to resolve to the C. Then we have the minor third with the G sharp, which makes it also dark. And this D in this context really wants to resolve to the E. So there's no stable note in this chord. It's really a
Diminished superchord.
And the funny thing about this chord is there's no E in there, like the note that he sings, kiss me, but the whole chord invokes an E in your head because everything screams for E major. So even though there's no E in the whole chord, you kind of hear that E in your head. Isn't music great? So after that, baby kiss me, we're gonna do C major 7, and then a little extra round, B7.
Minor.
Okay, that was a lot for verse 1, and we're gonna have a look at all the chords in a second. But first let's talk about the right hand. Now in the original we have the bass that goes boom, 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 very straight. But if we do that on guitar, that gets boring very quickly. So I'd opt for a more groovy pattern here, and I'll do something like this. So it's down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, or down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, and so forth, which is a little more groovy and a little more lullaby, if that is a word. Okay, so we have a left hand, a right hand. Let's try this verse 1 all together, and it goes like this. Okay, verse 2, pretty much the same, the first 8 chords. In other words, and now the changes roll in. In other words, please be true. This is a G sharp. And we could use the same F7 diminished that we had, but this F doesn't work here so well, so we'd rather, instead of the F, we'd play the D here on the B string. True. It's better than true, you know? And this chord is, I don't know, it's somewhat an E7 without the bass E, and we add another D, so we have 2 Ds, but I don't know what it's called. Let's call it a
E7 double D super chord.
Or something like that. And after that, we play, instead of an A minor 7, an A major 7. But not here, but up here. So we can use our pinky on the 8 of the E. In the second round, again, D minor 7. I love you. And we resolve it on a C major 7. Beautiful. Then we go into the solo, and instead of what the trumpets do there, that's a little much, so we just put in a little bass line. C, B, A, G. And then we're into the solo. But first, let's recap the second part of verse 2, which goes like that. We'll go into the solo. Okay, in the solo we play the melody line and try to keep as many of the chord and bass notes that we have underneath. So the melody line goes something like... Okay, and we need the chords underneath. We start with an A, luckily, so we have an open string, and we use this chord, open 7 5 5 8. And now we just move our pinky around 8 7 5 8. Then into the D minor 7. Not here, but here, so we can use our pinky again. And it helps to play an upstroke on this D minor 7. So you have upstroke, and you can play another bass note down. Then the melody line again, 8 5 8. Then we get into a G, and we have to play this melody note on the 7 here, so we have to really stretch. And we can play nearly all these strings because they are in G, except for the A here, but this is muted by your index anyways. Now we have the problem that we have to lift up the index and lose our bass note, but we can put in some substitute bass notes here with the D and the G. And we can lift the index and play the melody. Going into C major, and now we have a little time to relax. For moving the same position up to the F major 7, this time we use the F major 7, not the F7, because this is very convenient here. The melody line 10 8 10 9. You don't even have to shift your F major 7 position really, just shifting your pinky. Going down to the B minor 7 flat 5, but without the F up here at first. You just do 2 0 2 3. One time the bass note for good measure. Before you do 0 1 slide 5. Now the 9 on the B string, and then we have a big bass note again with this E here. Six, 5, 7, 5, and I like to slide into that. After that, I like to make a little transition here, which is not in the original, but there's a little gap, so I'd like to fill it with this. And I do the A string and the B string 0, 0, 2, 3, 3, 5. Then we have the melody, and we use the D string and also the 6th fret, the F here on the B. Then another G, same problem as before, we will lose our bass note, but we can use the substitutes on D and G. And then play the melody on B and E, and if you don't touch your G and D string, then they will ring through. And this here is 10-8, 8-7, 5-3, those thirds on B and E string. Then our bass note would be the C, so we could play it here on the 8, but our melody is, or with natural harmonic on the 12th. And doing that is possible with the position here on 8-13, but the chance that this really works in mid play is not very high, so I prefer to just do the melody line. And also the strings from the G are still ringing a little bit, so it's not completely empty. And then we finally have an open string again with the A and a little lick of the flute up there. I don't know exactly what he plays, I just play this downward scale. Now note that in this position here I don't do, but I have to move my pinky down and then ring on the 9, so I have these two free to go on 8 and 9, and then 10-10. And then the trumpets do this. We're gonna do exactly that with D chords underneath. So we have the first one, a D minor, all the way up to the A on the E string. The second one, we have a melody note here. So we have to move our pinky from here to the 8th fret of the B string, which makes it a D minor 7 sus4. The third one is a D minor again, but without the A up top, so just, because this is our melody note, the F. And then the last one, our melody note is here. So our chord is 5-7-5-5, which is a D9. And before that, you just make a percussion sound. Okay, nearly through the solo. At the end we have these percussion sounds. And we do this with muted strings and triplets. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, pow. The last one is a C here on G, B, E string 12, 13, 12. And since it's triplets, we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And if you feel very funky, you can put one muted string before all of that. So you would start with up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, altogether that solo goes like this. Okay, nearly through. Last verse, starts as the others. In other words, ba-da-da-da, G string 5/4, D string 7, G7 chord, 2 downstrokes in a row, down, up, down, down, then please be true, and the trumpets go. And we're gonna put the chords to that. So we have a G here, 5, 7, 8 from the G string, alternating with the 7 on the A string. And then this kind of complicated where you have open A, 5, 5, 8, 8. So you have to put your pinky on 2 notes here. And then alternate this with the 7 on the D string. And if you sing along on the last one, you have the in. Other words. Then you have on the other, the D. And words, 7, 6 on G and B string with your pinky and ring finger. Because now you have to use index and middle here. You make a hammer on, pull off on 4 or 5 of the G string. Then 7 on the D, slide 4, 5. And now pretty tricky stuff with this, I call it inside out chords, all these variations of C, F major. So with C major you have your bar naturally here, but if you move that one up, you have to make that bar with your index. And that means you have to involve your pinky here, which makes it harder to put the finger position on there. But this chord is very handy and I should have practiced it more. So you're coming in here and you have to put all 3 of them down at the same time. And that is tricky. So the melody goes and all this while we have our chords here. So we are here, lift up, ring and middle. And move the index to the bar position so that we have the D covered. Then ring on the 7 of the G and up again and back to the original chord. So that's probably the most tricky part. Then we have in other words. In other words, C major,
7,
other words, then move up to this A that we know from the start of the solo, then a D with 5, 8, 8. So we have first the A, then the D, and now this is the D7 position, but with ring, middle, pinky on 7, and then just the melody line between the pinky and the index, and you can also play the D. Almost done. Now the little outro, which we are gonna do on just the A string, B flat and B with triplets. I love, and then the infamous, which is 4, 5 on the B string. You, and at the end, no complete chord, just the C's. With hybrid picking your pick on the A string and your middle finger on the B string. Through. Oh, finally, that was the long one. Jesus. One final thought about singing to that one. Now, we are all not Frank Sinatra, of course. He has a unique voice. Some come close, like Michael Bublé or even Seth MacFarlane. but most of us mortals don't have the voice to match that. What I found helps is confidence. If you really have to sing it like you're the Mac, that helps a lot. And the other thing is it's really very rhythmical. Rhythmical? It's like he's telling a story. So that helps if you incorporate these rhythmic things like let me sing forevermore. You are all along for all I worship and adore. You know what I mean? Yeah, that helps, but of course no one comes close to Mr. Sinatra. Alright, I hope this helps you to make your own version of this beautiful song on guitar. I'll put mine here, and I'll try to post more on this channel again. I was pretty busy with my other channel, the band channel Bonek. Done a lot of funny videos there if you want to check them out. Of course, there are more videos like this on the How to Play series. If you want to check those out, and I'll try to make more of these in the future because you guys seem to like them. More Pentaman stuff coming up as well, so we're gonna get busy on this channel. Hope you tune in again and see you soon. Bye bye.